All right. Well, here we are, folks, together again. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's great to be with you. And we are continuing our study, a year-long study, once a month on sacred time. And we're going to do so through the Jewish calendar and specifically, obviously, the Jewish months. But we're going to learn more than just about the names of the months and the holiday observances. Uh, those are important, and we will certainly learn about the details, but we're going to learn more broadly. I don't know, I hear someone in the background talking. Is that Eugene?
Yeah, I'm here.
You put it on mute, por favor. We can hear the background, but welcome. Okay, wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Gene. Looking forward to seeing you on Passover if you can join us at the shul. So we will be discussing again the events on that take place in the month, the holidays and so forth. But this is more than just what happens in a month. What we're trying to do is make our months more meaningful, to make time and life more meaningful. And the question for us is, as time passes, I mean, this is sort of the meditation for the whole series. Time passes by. That's a part of life. And in the end, ultimately, we end up in a timeless place. But the question is, can we have more timeless moments here through our sacred practice, through our sacred study, and through our sacred communal connections with each other? And I mean across the faith, the ism divide, right? I don't care about people's isms. I care about that we come together as humans in whatever faith world we happen to dwell or not dwell in. And so the question always is, how can we be more present in time so that time, even though it passes, hey Gene, you got to keep your thing on mute there, bro. It's echoing in the in all of our ears. Let's see, maybe I can.
Mute.
There we go. I think I got it. Uh, I got two genes now. Wonderful, both of genes. So that's what we're doing, and all Jewish months have either 29 or 30 days. No months have 28 except that wonderful Jewish month of February. And what's interesting about the Jewish months, and again, I'll say just briefly these ideas because it's very different from most other months in the calendar systems of other traditions. Months are just, they have a name and that's the end of it. And events take place. In Judaism, the months, in addition to having a name, the name is always significant in our sacred lives. And we'll go through as we've been going through, the different names of the months give us different insights into life. And they also have a numerical value. Every month is associated with certain numbers. And those numbers give us insight also into life. It's not just this month we'll be studying is Nisan. Biblically, it's the first month. But there's something more than just it may be the first number or whatever number it is. They also are, every month is associated with a tribe. So that again is very unique. And what that month offers us as far as insight through that tribe, even if we're not a member of that tribe, it's still insight for life. And it's instructive and it's very unique. They also, months also have a letter associated with them. Imagine if January had an A and February had a D. I mean, it still wouldn't make any sense. But in Hebrew, letters are always more than just sounds, or if it's a silent letter, silent sounds. Letters are instructive in Judaism. Even letters have meaning. And we'll see what our month, Nisan, what the letter is for that and what that signifies. They also, every month also has a verse, a biblical verse associated with it, which maybe it's not textually in the Bible, right? Textually, it's not saying this is associated with this month. All of this comes through the mystics, the Kabbalah and the Arizal, these great thinkers and mystics. So all of this comes from that. And in addition to having a verse and a letter, they also have a color associated with them, and that's based on the flag. Every tribe had a flag, and it had a color and a symbol. And so in Judaism, months are also associated with colors, not just specifically the color, but what the color signifies. Most religious traditions have forms that symbolize something much deeper, but we often don't know that. So color in Judaism, can anybody think of something in Judaism that is significant that has color?
Well, clearly the flag is blue as a color.
Well, that I don't mean the modern one. You're right. Actually, it happens to be for this month, the tribe that this month is that Nissan is associated with actually is blue. But that has to do that you're right. That's not the modern flag. But what biblically can you associate? There are a lot of things, but what are some things that color could remind you of biblically? How about during the flood? Remember what happened after the flood? What was the sign that maybe things ain't
The
gonna be
rainbow appearing in the sky.
the rainbow, right? So you know what else had color? And we just finished reading about it for 13 of the last 16 chapters in Exodus, from chapter 25 to 31 and then 35 to 40. What was that all about? It was about the instructions and the construction of the what? The tabernacle. And that had all kinds of fabrics and colors associated with them. And then just this is another example where the significance, or at least where we find color and the rabbis read deep significance into it. Remember the Kohen, the priest, he had the breastplate on him. They each had a gem that was associated with a tribe, and it had a color. So color isn't insignificant. It's not just beautiful. We all have a favorite color. Color also is spiritually rich for the Jewish understanding, at least. And we'll see how that relates to us in our lives and in time. And the last thing I'll say, just as a little intro, background, again, we highlight these every aspects of these every time because it brings us back into a place, I think, that is different than if we just start off, okay, this month is Nissan, and here we go. Does anybody remember the Hebrew word for month besides those who know Hebrew? Okay, this is the reason why I decided to do it is because I think there's something unique about the term for month in Hebrew. It's chodesh. Does anybody remember what that also means? It means month. There's no doubt about that. It means a few other things, but one of the other meanings of month that we have spoken on that is critical for life, again, wherever you are on the sacred spectrum, to make life more meaningful, to enhance life, to deepen life. What is another meaning of this word for month? Either as a noun or as a verb. Anybody remember?
The word that comes to mind is chadash, which means new.
Yes, yes, to renew. Chodesh is the noun. Chadash is chadash is as a verb is to make new. Lehitchadesh or hischadshut or hischadshus in Hebrew, it's this idea of self-renewal, renewal from within. And this, what's so beautiful about this is that these are, we have every month is another moment of and a reminder of renewing as a potential in life. And if we're not renewing, if we're not finding something new and redeeming and uplifting and healing, life is not as beautiful. And life so often is very, very hard. And we have to find those renewing moments. So each month, it doesn't mean we only do it for the month, but every month is a new aspect of renewal. There's something that renews every month in that cycle of 12 or 13 months, which we also have a 13th month. Uh, it's in the month of Adar. If you might hear some wonderful children making holy sounds, because I'm in a house with a bunch of kids. So that's my holy choir. And if you hear noises, they're saying amen in the background. But the idea that each month has its own pattern and way of renewing within, and it's a self-renewal. That's what's so important. Life needs to be renewed because otherwise life isn't as wonderful and as blessed as it can be. Even in moments when life is not blessed, we need to find that renewal, that potential. So with that, if anybody, before I move on to our actual study, that's my background, my meditation, the kavana, as we say, the intentions that I'd like us to enter into our study with, and keep this with you as you go through life, each month. Keep these ideas with you to help bring more light and renewal in life, to your heart, your mind, to your soul, and to your community. So I hope you all have your Bibles out, because I'm going to have you read things so that I don't have to just keep reading. I'll read some things. And except for Bethel, she doesn't need a Bible because she's the house of God and has it in her head, right? There you go. So right now this is our first month, and I debated, should we wait until Nisan to start the study of the sacred time of the calendar? Because why not begin at the beginning, right? And then I realized, well, that's one beginning. That's the biblical beginning of our calendar. Biblically, this is the first of our months, Nisan, the equivalent of January. We have other months rabbinically, and we have other, like we said before, rabbinically, this is the 7th month. Tishrei is the first month. But we're going biblically today, and this is the first month. And it's called Nisan. I'm sorry, it's called Aviv. The rabbinic name is Nisan. So we have two names for this month. And Nisan is the rabbinic name, and Aviv is the biblical name. So if anybody has their Bible out, look in chapter 13 of Exodus, verse 4. So who has 13:4? And Christo, I see you turning pages.
I got it.
Let's hear it.
Let's see. 4. You go free on this day in the month of Aviv.
Mhm.
And yes, the JPS translation is correct according to the Hebrew. I checked it.
That's good. Absolutely. And Aviv, or Aviv, if you speak modern Hebrew, it's the month of spring, but it has the idea of renewal, right? It has the idea of renewal in it. And what I find brilliant, I really do, is that this is the equivalent of January, again, biblically. Rabbinically, this is the 7th month, which is also significant. 7 is a significant number. But the first month, biblically, and it says it in the Bible, that this month will be to you, right, the first of months. The first, the primary. There's something necessary here that you are to know. This is your first month, not just chronologically, but on the level of soul. Okay, it's for you. There's something for you here, and it's more than just it's number one in the ordering. Aviv, and Aviv, and it plays off the same idea of the word for month, meaning to renew or to be new, to make new. Aviv is the idea of spring. That's when we start our year, not in winter, but our calendar begins in spring. That's our first month biblically. And it's the idea of renewal. This idea of Aviv has this idea of renewing it. It's spring, it's birth, it's coming back to life. Like I say, as I was reflecting on this being the first month, and specifically, this is for you the first of months, there has to be something for me in it. And what I realized, at least one aspect here, is for life, this is teaching us that from the beginning, the first month is telling us, make sure that you find ways to renew in life. The first month is about spring. There is potential for birth after winter, the darkness of winter, where we don't see life. We see we look around you. The life in the natural world is often they're hibernating, or it's dormant. There are no leaves unless it's an evergreen and other, trees that stay throughout the year, or plants. But the idea that the first month teaches us to renew, that it's in spring, that birth and rebirth is part of our existence, and it's a necessary part of our existence foundationally from the beginning. That's a grand theology or philosophy to begin with. It's the first month, but it's also the first sort of principle that we have to always keep with us, that life has the potential for renewal. We don't begin in winter. We begin with the spring because our life is always having the potential for spring and renewal. And that's a beautiful meditation to have in life that will help keep that renewal before us and within us, so that when we go through the winters of life, which we will, we never lose the hope that spring, that Aviv, that renewal is available. And if you're going through periods of life right now, which many of us are, that's a healing meditation, because it gives us that light at the end of the tunnel, or as I often say, that hope at the end of the darkness. There is a hope that the end of darkness is coming, that birth and rebirth are available. That's the biblical Hebrew month. The rabbinic Hebrew month is called, or this month in rabbinic Hebrew is called Nisan. Okay, and if you get a little bit of Hebrew, you can do some of this stuff in your own mind, following this sort of rabbinic path. The Hebrew month of Nisan, by the way, this month is also called by the rabbis the month of Geula. Geula is the idea of redemption, because we got out of Egypt. So our first month, playing off this idea of renewal, this first month is also the month of redemption. And what better way to have as your first month, your prime month for you? That's the language. This month will be for you. What is for you in this month is the reminder that redemption is a potential. That's our first recollection and remembrance, an idea that we are to take home, because life often needs to be redeemed, because we often feel like we are in exile, or that we feel estranged or distant. We need that healing redemption. So in addition to spring and renewal as our guide, it's also not just renewal, but redemption from our trials, our tsuris in Hebrew, our struggles that narrow us. And keep that idea of narrowing in mind. But this word Nisan in Hebrew it's related to the word, a couple of words. One of them that I'd like to emphasize today is Nisan. You can hear in the first two letters, Nis Well, Nis, those two letters, Nis, the Nun and Samech, spell the word nace. And you know what a nace is in Hebrew? Miracle. It's telling you up front, from the beginning, the first of months. Yes, it's a month of redemption. Yes, it's a month of renewal. It's spring. These are visions of hope for life. But it's also the first month is named or has in its name this idea of miracle, because the miraculous is also something we have to have as a potential reference for our sacred vision. And it's from the outset, from the first month, these grand ideas of renewal with spring, of redemption from life's problems and struggles. That's a wonderful hope, but also that the miraculous is available to us. That is so beautiful to think that life is more than simply this ordinary existence, right? And there's and another time we will talk about ordinary, like in Buddhist ordinary dharma. There is something profound in the ordinary. Okay, don't get me wrong, but I'm focusing on the miraculous here. From the outset, this month has a name that means miracle, because life is miraculous. It is miraculous that we are alive. As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, just to be is a blessing. Okay? So I hope that we take these ideas, these that we've seen in this, the name alone, just the name of the month that it offers us, for deepening and broadening and making life more meaningful. And again, any thoughts and reflections? This is not meant to be a monologue. It can turn into one, but if there's something in your life that this echoes into, please feel free to let us know. And here's how, if you want, we can discuss. When we do it next year, we'll go through it again. We'll not just this is its meaning, but how can we find? That's the question I would leave you with. How can we find ways to make life more miraculous, to discover the miraculous aspects of existence? How can we find renewal? How can we seek redemption and bring redemption into this world? That's what this month is walking us through, with the names, but the meaning of its names. Let's see, what do we want to do? Nisan. This month has some significant events in it also. It has the month of Passover, which is coming up on the 15th, right? In a couple of Wednesdays. We'll be celebrating Passover, which is the exodus of the Jews from Egypt. Hence the name of the month of Geula, right? The month of redemption. So, but there are a lot of other things rabbinically, again, not biblically. The events are biblical, but the rabbis, in their analysis of the chronology of the events, they find ways that isolate dates. And if you remember, when in Genesis 18, when Abraham had his circumcision, when the angels came and visited him, the three men, according to the rabbis, that event, the angels coming to visit Abraham when he was in his period of greatest pain and he needed presence, what happened? The angels came, guess what date? On the 15th, according to the rabbis, of this month, Nisan. It's also a sign for us, a reminder for us that this date is not just what happened to Abraham, or Avram back then. Abram, I guess in English. The angelic visit that he had, there were men or they were angels. They seemed like both, right? They're eating. Angels don't eat. The idea there, at least for me, is, and according to the rabbis, that the events, all of the events in the Bible, remember this, they are Ma'aseh Avos Simun Labanim, the deeds of our ancestors, the experiences of our ancestors, are assigned for us. So if the angels slash men came and visited Avram, in his time of need, greatest need, it was the third day after his circumcision, which according to the rabbis is the most painful. The angels slash men came to visit him. How is that a sign for us? It's pretty obvious. And the question is, are we going to visit people? Are we meeting people in their moment of pain, in their moment of need, when they need healing? It wasn't just about Abraham. That's a sign for us. And it happened on the 15th. Years later, Jacob received his blessing from Isaac on, again, according to the rabbinic calculations, on the 15th of the month of Nisan, this month. You say, that's wonderful. Well, the question is, and this is beautiful. Question is, are we willing to receive blessings? Blessings are often so present in our lives, but we're unable to see them. Just the blessing of renewal. This month is a month of renewal. The blessing of the potential for renewal within, from renewal in relationships, from renewal in soul, renewal in mind, renewal of blessing, receiving of blessing. The date that this was given, there were several other events. We got out, obviously, from Egypt on this date, but this is an important way of viewing history in the present, that what happened with Jacob receiving the blessing is a call for us to remember to receive the blessings, not to deny the struggles, what often seem like curses and what often simply are. Some people have just lives, and we say, oy vey, lo aleinu, oh my goodness, but let's remember Jacob received the blessing. That's great. But the question is, am I willing to receive blessings? Because often life is blessed. Sorry about that. Chairs dragging above. I should have asked for chairs to levitate.
We don't hear anything, just so you know.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
So it's your one person symphonic choir because you're the only one who can hear it.
Maybe it's in my head. Maybe it's all in my head. But the idea of Jacob receiving a blessing as a simon, as a sign for us, the deeds of our ancestors, is not just that he received, but the bigger, I think, problem we often have in life is, can I receive? Am I willing to receive blessing? Wow. There are several other events. The Mishkan, in fact, the tabernacle that we just finished reading about in the last, from chapter 25 through 40 in Exodus. According to the rabbi's calculations, this is the text. It was dedicated on this day. The temple, the tabernacle, the holy structure was dedicated on this day, the 15th of Nisan, the day of redemption, right? The day of the Exodus, the day the angels visited Avram, the day that Jacob received his blessings. The question for us, for me at least, is, that's wonderful. The temple was dedicated on this day, the 15th of Nisan. The question challenge for me is, what am I dedicating myself to? Am I dedicated in life to something holy? The temple was dedicated. The tabernacle was dedicated. It's a holy structure. The question is, am I dedicated or dedicating myself to the holy, to something nourishing, to something uplifting, to something meaningful? That would bring this month the meaning of the idea of renewal. That would certainly renew your life, and truthfully, it would renew the world if we all did more of that. One more thought on the Exodus coming out of Egypt, the redemption. Anybody know and I don't care if you know Hebrew or not, this is anybody know the Hebrew name for the land of Egypt, the biblical name? Let's all sing together. It is in Hebrew,
Mitzrayim.
Mitzrayim. And the rabbis give I don't think the Egyptians called it that. I promise you they didn't. Because in Hebrew, it doesn't mean something wonderful. The name Egypt is more a description of the Jewish experience in Egypt rather than the name. Because what did they experience in Egypt? They were narrowed as a people. They were oppressed. And this word, Mitzrayim, the rabbis related based on a psalm, but they related somewhat etymologically as Mina Meitzar. Mitzrayim and Meitzar have that same sort of root. Don't worry about the im, that's a plural. But Mina Meitzar is like from or between the straits, this narrowing place. Egypt was a place of narrowing. And whenever we are struggling in life, whether it's physical oppression or internal angst, agmas nefesh, soulful suffering and sorrow, it narrows us to a certain extent. It narrows us. So this place called Egypt was a place of narrowing. So we celebrate the redemption, not only on Passover, actually we celebrate it every day. We're told to remember every day the going out of Egypt. Anybody who's got, again, your Bible, look up Deuteronomy 16:3. This will teach you about the importance of remembering, or it will tell you about the importance of remembering the Exodus. Not that Exodus, but your Exodus that you need to come out from daily. It's a daily reminder and a weekly reminder. We say it on Sabbath and on the holidays, right? Zech L'tzias Mitzrayim, to remember the Exodus of Egypt. Why is it so important? It's a biblical commandment. 16:3, Deuteronomy 16:3. Who has it?
I've already read, but if no one else has turned to it.
Krisha.
Patrice, do you want to?
I have it in King James.
That's fine. You don't care about
Deuteronomy 16:3, thou
Yes.
shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therein, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life.
Okay. How often are we to remember it?
All
All
the days.
days. The
So
entirety
long
of
as you're alive.
Sorry?
All the days of your life. So as long as you're alive.
Yes. And all can mean all, it can mean every, it can mean each, or it can mean the entirety of the days of your life. Not just a moment even. This is a vision that you are to keep with you in memory, in heart, mind and heart. This idea of redemption. Because it will allow you to live through the internal narrowing that takes place often in life, whether it's a result of outward struggle or inward pain. This is not just an ancient narrative. It's a present vision that we are to live with. These ancient narratives live through us and speak through us if we allow them to. If we do more than just read, that's great. Remember it, and then I'm on to the next verse. And then when I go through something that narrows, all I can see is hopelessness. Redemption is something we are to remember daily, the potential. And that's what this month is called. And that's our first month. It's a sort of like when animals imprint, the first animal they see or the first object, that's mama. This is an imprinting month. This is to be our vision for life, that redemption and renewal are available. And if redemption is happening, that means we weren't in a great place before, right? So that's a wonderful vision for life. This month of Nisan also, again, has a numerical value like every month. Okay, so the rabbis, the mystics, again, some of it's from Sefer Yetzirah, the Arizal, the Kabbalists, these great mystical works or mystics. The word Nisan itself has a numerical value. Okay, you have 180. Nun and Nun is 100, 50 and 50. And then you got, let's see, it's 100 and, let's see, so we've got this idea here of, if you break, is that right? Nisan, 160, that's 170. 170. 170. 50 and 50 and 60 and 10. 170. Okay. Well, let's come back to the number in a moment. I want to say one more thing about the Nun. Sorry, the name Nisan. Sorry. The name Nisan begins with what letter before we get to the numbers? What sound does it begin with? Ni, Nun, and San. Nun. It's framed by nuns, right? What's one word? This is in the Talmud. The rabbis associate with this letter Nun. They associate two words with it in the Gemara and Brachas. One of the words that they associate with it is to fall. Right? We fail in life, in other words. That's our beginning. We fail. But how? What's another meaning that they associate with the word nun? Nace. Miracle. We often fall in life. Life often seems like it's failing. Again, this is our first month, so it's a vision for life. Yes, we fail. We're human. Yes, people fail us. They're human. That's not the end. The end is the other nun, Ni San. There's still the potential for something miraculous, nace. It's not just that I'm a failure. In spite of our failures, in spite of the failures of others, in spite of the struggles in life, there is still something miraculous and available to us, before us and within us. And that is a model and a vision that, again, being the first month, the firsts are critical in Judaism, to have that as a vision that I failed, but the miraculous is still a potential. That is rich. That is rich for us, if we keep that in mind. So, all right, we're almost at 11. And again, if you have any thoughts, I'm not walking us the how. This isn't the how-to. This is the what. And I'm leaving the hows and the ways for you to find this renewal or this blessing or this miraculous in spite of the being in a place of Egypt. I'm leaving that for you to walk through this month, to take these ideas with you during the month. Another aspect of this month, remember, they have several qualities every month. One of them is a tribe. Every month has a tribe associated with it. This month, the month of Nisan, the first, Aviv or Nisan, this month it has the tribe of Judah associated with it. Judah is a very, I mean, they're all significant, but Judah is somewhat of a leader. This is a royal tribe. What comes through through the tribe of Judah? Something that everybody hopes comes one day. You might have remembered that person called the Messiah, right? Comes through Judah. Remember? What's special about the name Judah? The first time the word Judah is mentioned, does anybody know where? It's in the Bible. What's that? Not the Bhagavad Gita.
No, it's in
But
Genesis.
Genesis, in the context of someone giving birth, right? Leah. I think you say Leah in English, is that right? Okay, so Leah is giving birth. Okay. Let's look up Genesis 29. Genesis 29, 35 here. I guess I don't need to really look it up. I'll just have you read it. There's a phrase there that gives us the idea of Yehuda. It tells us straight up what it means in the birth context. These birth narratives are instructive. So what do we have here in verse 35?
She conceived again and
Yep.
bore a son and declared, "This time I will praise God." Therefore she named him Judah. Then she stopped there.
Yeah. That makes no sense in English. This time I will praise God after the birth of a kid. This time I will praise God. Great. So yeah, she called him Judah. What is the connection?
You'd have
Well,
to check the Hebrew text and it makes more sense.
yes, because hapam oide es Hashem. This time, ode, I will praise. That has, in the rabbinic mind, I mean, it has the similarity with the word Yehuda. Okay. With based on the etymological roots. You can debate whether it is, that's fine, but it seems like it is. His name is Yehuda because he praised, this time, he's talking about this time I will praise Hashem. And it's the tragedy here is Leah is trying to gain the love of Jacob. Okay. So it's a very sad context. If I give him another one, maybe. The last one was Levi. She was hoping he would, bond with her because of this. With Reuven, right? Jacob will see I have a son. Ah, and maybe he'll love me for that. But I'm taking this name as what I would say is a derech, as a way. This month is associated with the tribe of Judah. The Bible associates the name of Judah with praise. Okay? One thing I would say this could be, again, it's interpretation. Everything is interpretation. This month for me is a meditation on praise. If the tribe of Judah is what's associated with this month, how can I live a life of praise? And praise is connected with speech, and we will see in a moment. That's what I'll conclude with at the end. But the characteristic associated with this month is speech. So we're guarding our speech. This month is associated with the tribe of Judah, which has the root meaning of praise. And so I would say this is a month for me to monitor my speech, one of the characteristics associated with this month, and ask myself, how is my tongue? How is my speech? Don't look at the news networks when they're having their debates for a model. But how can I live a life where my speech is bringing more praise and light, even if the person with whom I am speaking is not ideal or is not an ideological partner, if we have very different views, or someone has simply failed in life or not fulfilled a promise, can I still live and speak in a way that is honoring, that brings more praise, presence of light? That's, I think, a beautiful meditation. And Judah is associated with leadership. In the end, when the blessings in the end of Genesis, I mean, he's one of the leaders. There's a lot of leadership associated with Judah. Remember Nachshon ben Aminadav? He's from the tribe of Judah. He was the head of the tribe of Judah. And when the Jews were, this is a midrash, this is not textual, but this is what the rabbis teach. When he was, it's midrashic, when he was we were all there at the sea, and the sea wasn't parting, and the Egyptians were behind us. What did Nachshon ben Aminadav do? He walked and walked and walked into the sea as it filled and filled up to here and up to here, and he kept walking, and it got to here, and finally it parted. So he was a real leader of faith and a leader of spirit and a leader of the tribe. We need people who have vision, and that takes strength. Leadership takes strength, and that's what this tribe represents, and that's this month. And it's not just for Judah, it's for all of us. You mentioned the color of blue, Adrian, right? That's the color that's associated with the flag of Judah. It's a lion with blue, according to the rabbis again. And blue, just briefly here, what does blue remind us of? All of these are symbols for something greater, whether it's the name, whether it's the number, whether it's the tribe, the color, even the letter that's associated with it. What does blue, one thing that blue represents in the world of the rabbis? The sky, the heavens, God's throne. This is telling us from the outset, this first month. It's not telling us about that this is what this reminds you of. It's telling you to keep this reminder as your first month. This is a sort of, like I say, an imprinting moment. To have this as your color vision. How am I looking through life through the prism of color? How am I looking at life through the prism of color? Blue, the sea, the ocean reflects the skies. It's blue. It reminds us of the blue skies, to remember that even when we are in a place that may not have what feels like something heavenly, it's a place of struggle, to keep that remembrance of the blue, of the heavens, of the divine throne. There is still a presence that reigns throughout this universe. There is the heavenly, the blue, that reminds us of heavenly blessing is still a potential, even in our pain, even in the suffering that we are going through. Okay? The letter that's associated with this month is a hey. It's a H sound, kind of a silent H. It's not a strong H, especially in modern Hebrew. They don't even pronounce it. But the hey is again, who associates letters with months? Letters don't mean anything. In Hebrew, letters have meanings, and it also has an association. The hey, first of all, is like breath. The rabbis relate it to breath. It's like soul, spirit. That's a profound meditation right there. Again, associating with the first month, the first meditations we're to have. This month will be for you. Every aspect here we're discussing is for you, for me. The hey is for you. What does the letter hey symbolize? It symbolizes breath and soul. And it's reminding us from the outset to take time to breathe through life so you can have that connection with soul. Breath and soul are intimately related, but it's telling us from the outset, our first month, that keep that reference or vision for soul, of soul, before you. It will make life more miraculous and like a miracle. Nace, Nissan, Nace. All of these are ideas and themes that will help build up life, because life often breaks us down. And we need the miraculous. We need renewal. We need praise. We need leadership, right? We need redemption. These are all themes that this month represents. But the letter He also grammatically has more than two, but it has two basic functions that I'm going to emphasize now. What is the He? If a word has at the beginning of it, and it's a ha, that sound, He with a patach, ha, it usually means, if it's a noun, that it's something definite. It's called the definite article, the house, the book, as opposed to an indefinite article, a house, a book, a friend. It's a defining quality, right? It's specifying, it's individualizing. It also has another function, and it's almost the same form. It's a He with a patach, but the patach has these two little dots, so it's a chataf patach. So it's the letter He with an ah sound under it. Same sound, but just a slightly different form. It's a kind of a reduced form of it. There, it's a question. One is a definite answer. The other is a question. It's a definite statement versus a question. How can the same basic letter or form, because without vowels, it's context. It's telling you there is something definite, but it's also telling you there is a question. And this is the letter that the rabbis teach the world was created with. And I would say, again, I'm not talking physics here. I'm talking soul. Okay, God didn't take this letter He, and go poof. This is metaphor for the soul. It's in the Talmud, in the tractate Menachos, that the world was created with the letter He. So taking it can mean either the, definite, or question, indefinite. We don't know. I love the idea of question, because what that does for me is it reminds me I don't have all the answers. And that's going to let me live Micah 6:8 a little better, to walk humbly with my God. I don't have all the answers. If the world was created with a question, yes, it is also a the. There are answers. There is the definite, but there's also that indefinite question. And that tells me I'm seeking to find answers to questions in life. It's okay to question, because there are answers. There is the, but often we don't have the answers. And I would say gently, be careful of your answers, because we may not have the right answers, and we certainly don't have all the answers. So a little humility and faith goes a long way. And again, just real briefly, the characteristics that are associated, or the characteristic of this month that is associated with Nisan, is speech. Speech. You want to have redemption? You want to have miraculous blessing in life? Guard your speech. Guard your tongue. Proverbs 18:21. It's not life and death are in the power of the tongue, folks. If your text says that, it's wrong. It is literally, it's death and life. Maves v'chayim. Death and life, biyad lashon, are in the hand, the power of the tongue. Okay? And don't forget that. It's the death and life are in the power of the tongue. This month, our first month, is a reminder. Watch your speech. Watch your speech. Going back to Yehuda, it's about praise. Praise. You want to redeem your life, redeem your relationship, guard your tongue, watch your speech. That's the characteristic of the first month because it's necessary to create a better world. And the verse associated with this month is from Psalm 96, verse 11. It's a famous psalm in Judaism. But if you have that before you, this is what I end with. Anybody have 96:11? Psalm 96:11? Don't have it? Okay, well, it's Yismechu Hashamayim Sagel Haaretz. Right? We sing it even on Simchas Torah. Yismechu Hashamayim. We sing it a lot of times throughout the year. It's let the heavens rejoice. Yismechu Hashamayim Sagel Haaretz. And let the earth be glad. That's the passage that is associated with the month of Nisan. What does that mean? Again, it's the first month. It's supposed to be our vision, our hearts. This is going to shape our lives. It's the first, not only in time chronology, but it's the first in terms of our hearts and minds and visions. Life ain't always easy. But this is talking, uses two words, Yismechu and Visagel, the different forms of the word. The Samach and Tagal are the roots. It's talking about joy. It's telling you from the outset, life begins in joy. The first month is associated with joy, and that's telling us what you have to keep in your mind, in your vision, is that Yismechu, it's a rejoicing. It's talking about the heavens rejoicing. Creation is rejoicing over your presence. And the question is, are you bringing joy to the world? Remember that song by Three Dog Night? Joy to the world. All the boys and girls, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. Keep these visions, these symbols, these colors, these letters, these characteristics, these tribes, these names, these, I say letters? Yeah, these, what else do we have with months? Character traits, verses. Keep these not as just references for the month, but references for life, renewal, redemption, right? Praise, speech, joy, leadership, strength, courage. The letter, hey, soul, breath. These will bring redemption. This is the month of Geula, the month of redemption. Nisan, Nes, Aviv, Hebrew, the biblical Hebrew. These are themes. If you want redemption in life, keep the themes associated with this month present with you, and there will be more redemption in life. Your life will be redeemed. It won't be perfect. There's still plenty of Egypts that we're all going to suffer through. But we have to remember the Egypt every day, that oppression, because the end of the oppression is redemption. Redemption is available. Joy is available. And I'll look forward to seeing you all at our next study. If there's any closing words you want to leave us with in our reflection on the month of Nisan or Aviv, I'll leave you with the last words. Yes, Patricia.
Not anything profound, but I had a question. You started to talk about the number 170.
Yeah. Let's. I'm worried about time here. I will. I think we got a ton here. I'll text you privately. We'll go through that.
Thank you.
But I will tell you that, yes, we will do that, and we will we'll see you all next month, unless there's any other comments.
Robert just put into the chat, he's wondering if you could please create a summary that could be used as a study guide and email it.
Oh my God, Robert, you the man. Is this Robert Plant? If it's Robert Plant, you sing it.
Robert Pattinson.
I like Robert Plant. Robert Plant's great. He's a great singer. Maybe he'll sing for us one time. Stairway to Heaven, right? We ended with Yismichu Hashamayim, let the heavens rejoice. Not Robert Plant. Darn it. So I can't say Robert Plant came to our study. Well, thank you. That's a great idea, and that'll take some time. I will say that's a very wonderful idea. I have a few obligations right now as far as writing that I have to get out. I have to have a chapter a week out for something, and let's just say I'm a little behind. So this won't be foremost or uppermost in my, it's uppermost in my mind. It's a brilliant idea. But if anybody else, and then we will say sayonara. If not, thank you. Gotta go.
I
Okay.
do have a question.
Recording now. That's killing us. I don't know. There's something going on with your mic, Gene. I'll stop the recording and we'll say farewell and we can stay for a few minutes or whatever. So thank you all for coming and we'll talk. Are you sure you want to stop? Yes.